Hello, everyone, and welcome to another action-packed edition of the OverMark Podcast. Like always, we're your hosts, TJ and Dave, and we're going to be talking about Dynamite 300 from July 2nd, 2025, a little bit of news, push or pass, and the Forbidden Gimmick. And like always, we'd like you to check out our social media if you haven't. Just give it a like, whatever the heck you think you might be able to help us with. And that being said, we'll jump on from all that right into our AEW Dynamite review here. Which, hold on, I think I got
the OverMark Entertainment Dynamite review.
So, that being said, this one was a special AEW Dynamite 300 for their 300th episode, and they had an attendance of 5,057, which is better than most of their Dynamites. They're usually like the highest they get on Dynamite's like 3,000, right? If it's not like a special event, they're doing 2,000 a lot sometimes. But anyways, they had for a setup $53.98, so they had like 341 tickets left. I'm sure they got the rest out there, but I did see empty seats, so they didn't get rid of all of them. It was in the Toyota Arena in Ontario, Canada. California. It kind of weird how they had that going on. But anyways, we got Wednesday nights AEW Dynamite, the special 300th episode of the show, and it averaged 584,000 viewers on TBS. That's down 4.57% from last week and is the lowest audience total for the show since May 21st, which is kind of strange because everybody's talking about how much of a high that they're on right now and how much they're enjoying their shows. And I know that they had some competition, but it's, they had the same competition last year and they weren't getting this, right? Not even trying to spin that as a negative point of view or something. It's just a fact, I actually thought this is one of the better shows that they've had in a while. So I guess the viewership doesn't really reflect the quality or the build of the show that happened. And they drew a 0.16 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, which was actually an increase of 6.7% from last week. Despite the week-over-week improvement, this ties the second lowest show rating that it's done since May 21st. And that being said, we'll move on from our ratings and the numbers, and we'll jump into the opening segment here. It's Hangman Adam Page coming out, and he enters to a massive pop, no rambling. He's just got a fiery vow that he makes, that you have to kill him before he lets this chance pass. He calls out Jon Moxley to make it a Texas death match at All In. Moxley makes his way through the crowd with Shafir by his side and wastes no time shooting down Page's challenge. You think you want Texas death? I like how they talk about it too. Like they leave the match part out. It's like, oh, but you don't want to wake up next to that title because it's not your mountain. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. The crowd erupts with a "shut the schmuck up" chant, and Hangman snaps, punches fly, and a fork is drawn. And I thought the fork part was kind of weird. So it's like, oh, I guess they just want to. I'm sure Moxley's down for a kind of crazy match, and we've seen Hangman do plenty of them, so I guess they want to have a nuts match with a lot of interference. But Yuta tries to save Mox, but gets wrecked. Claudio jumps in and finally drops Page after Shafir causes a distraction. The Blackpool Beatdown Club looks dominant until backup arrives. Joe Hobbs and Shibata. Page grabs the briefcase, demands a Texas death match, and Mox finally relents. Then he gives a buckshot lariat to Marina Shafir to show that he's serious. Page ends the chaos standing tall with the Yop sending a chilling message, which is like, give me Texas death or whatever. It's I don't know. This wasn't bad. This is probably like the best promo I think Hangman's ever done.
Right.
I
was really surprised.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And Moxley wasn't that bad either for what it is. You just know that this match is going to be full of a lot of shenanigans, and I feel like a lot of times these Moxley matches don't deliver unless you're looking for really crazy like gore spots. But beyond the shock effect, I don't know. I'll hope for the best. It's just Moxley usually disappoints in these kind of situations, and Adam Page usually does great in these kind of crazy ass matches. But I don't know. What'd you think?
I think this is some of Adam Page's best work probably since 2019. I've been largely disinterested in almost everything that he does, and almost immediately after this promo happened, I messaged you and I was like, "That was a good promo. That was actually good."
Yeah.
So I have to give Hangman his props here. This was actually good shit. He is, went out there and proved that he's more than capable of delivering a really good promo here. And hopefully he continues on this road with this kind of stuff, because I'd like to see more of it and less of what he was doing before. Yeah.
He wasn't whining here. That's the difference. Is this time he was all fired up and confident.
Just like a man.
Yeah, whereas a lot of his past stuff, he's whining about maybe some things that have held him back, or just it's normal to be able to want to vent about things that are oppressing you or that are bugging you,
but not.
But you have to.
Every time.
But not every time, and eventually you got to do something about it. But anyways, take us on to this from that one if you want.
Okay, well, now from that we go to Glamour versus CEO Champagne Problems. We got some new way how the notes are going today. I don't know. We'll see if this works or not. I was trying to do it like last. Anyway, Mercedes Moné versus Mina Shirakawa, and Mercedes ends up winning with some roll up shenanigans. We open with Mina trying to prove that glitter and determination can dethrone a CEO, and honestly, she almost did it with a DDT off the apron and enough figure fours to make Ric Flair question his legacy. But Mercedes, fresh off her weekly Toni Storm cosplay mockery tour, said nah and hit Meteora number 437 of the night. This match was a full-on duel of fashion and fury, with Mina refusing to die and Mercedes proving once again that she will always find the ropes like they owe her money. Crowd chant, "Let's go Mina." CEO, reality chant, "The ref won't call anything." Mina actually hits a glamorous driver. The fans buy it. The camera zooms in. We're all ready for the 3 count, but Mercedes kicks out like it's 2.99999 on a Kenny Omega stopwatch. Moné eventually wins with a tight roll-up that looks like it was sponsored by the TSA. Secure, questionable, and way too fast. We get some post-match shenanigans. Mercedes decides winning isn't enough. She gives Mina some extra stomps for flair and dodges a pissed-off Toni Storm and celebrates by baptizing Luther in champagne like he's just been drafted into the Moné Club. Your time is up. My time is now. That sounds familiar. Mercedes Moné probably applying for a trademark infringement on John Cena next. This match was all right, despite us making fun of it a little bit. But what did you think of this, TJ?
I don't think it was I don't know. It's just kind of about like an average match, I guess, compared to what's been going on. What's her face? Man, with
Mina?
Mina. The people are into her. She seems to be one of the less technical Japanese chicks that have came over, but she's more over than all of them. But I feel like it's kind of obvious why. She's great looking and she plays up to her sex appeal that she has. But this is just kind of an average match, and it was weird how Toni just sat there. I don't know. It would be nice if I don't even know what I'm trying to say in here. It was just weird how she was just standing there blank face. Like, that's not what Toni does to hype stuff up. She's like an animated character, and I don't know. It's just tough to get into this stuff, and then more of her winning without cheating, and then beating the person up afterwards. Just, I don't know, kind of really shitty heel work to me, and
quite odd.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know if I told you, but I actually subbed to WrestleNomics Patreon, whatever, so we can get the quarter hours. I'll send you the link so you can check the stuff out too. But it's only $5 a month, so I figure like we're gonna be doing this shit, so we're gonna credit them when we do it like everybody does, and the guy's cool with it. So who gives a fuck, right?
Shout out wrestling guy.
Yeah, but anyways, the show started off at 687, which it's always high, but man, that's kind of low for the beginning. Like, do they not have a Big Bang anymore? But get this, the drop off. From the first segment to the second, so 687, then it drops to 593. at the beginning of the Mercedes one. So that's not a drop on her. And then from quarter hour 2 to quarter hour 3, it drops only 1,000 to 592. So she kind of holds up in her match. It doesn't drop too much. It drops a lot from Adam Page's shit, which is like concerning, right?
Yeah.
But man,
people are tired of seeing her. Maybe
I pulled that up. Well, I pulled that up so I could see if who it was, and it doesn't seem like it was her that had the big drop. It was fucking Hangman. She kind of held her stuff. The show held steady. The lowest it got was 541. So from the 593 at the top to the 541 at the end, that's not a huge drop. The drop was just fucking from the beginning, from quarter hour 1 to quarter hour 2. But sorry about that.
People just immediately tune out when they saw Hangman?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate because he actually cut a good promo.
Yeah. Hold on. I'll send this to you real quick, like. That way you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. And I'll move us on here. Like I said, it was an alright segment. It was just kind of odd, and it's just these are the kind of segments that like it's. The production the production just seems off, you know. But anyways, we're gonna jump into the MJF in the case of the missing morals. So it's the Casino Gauntlet entry number 2 match with MJF and Brody King versus AR Fox and Anthony Bowens. The result was MJF defeated everyone with the Salt of the Earth. I think he did that to AR Fox, and yeah, he did. I think. But anyways, Matt Jacob Freeman, former world champ and full-time sociopath, opens the gauntlet by doing what he does best, bribery. He hands Brody King a wad of cash and asks for a little teamwork. Brody responds like a man who hasn't seen rent prices in 2025 and slaps the stack to the mat. MJF rage quits the match instantly and goes to the commentary because of course he does, right? Meanwhile, Fox and Bowens play hot potato with Brody's spine, using barricades as weapons until Max smells blood and slinks back into the ring like a Wall Street raccoon. We go to a full ad break as MJF attempts to pin someone, which means there's a 50-50 chance he will actually screaming at Excalibur about tax brackets instead. We come back to everyone punching each other, and Brody King throwing hands like it's open mic night at a biker bar. MJF's looking confused that like, oh man, like he was just real tired and stumbling around. And Fox hits a rolling brainbuster on Max, which surprisingly doesn't delete his memory from being irrelevant. Brody King's cannonballs, DDTs, and pains like he's in a death metal food truck called Try Dying. MJF responds by grabbing a chair because subtlety is dead, and it gets slammed into his own face by Brody's punch. Fox follows up with a 450 splash that almost works until Brody remembers he's built like a haunted freezer. What the fuck is that?
Oh,
but
I don't know.
But if you punch that chair like that, like you have a good chance of breaking your hand.
Yeah.
In true MJF fashion, he waits until everybody's half dead, yells Brody sucks, tries a heat seeker, which he gets denied on, and finally taps out Fox after he jumps in and kind of steals the victory. Moral of the story, money doesn't buy Brody King, chair shots don't solve anything, and MJF can steal and cheat his way to victory like it's an Olympic event. Post-match, Mark Briscoe appears for a talkie talk. This is one of the highlights of the show.
Yeah.
Those two on the mic together is like pure gold.
They keep doing all the good shit early. No wonder everything's falling off later.
Yeah, but because what else do you do after watching MJF snake his way into another win? Then Jet Speed tries to make a stand and promptly gets wrecked by the Hurt Syndicate, like it's a gang initiation in a Fast and Furious spinoff. Lashley dominates Mike Bailey so hard that you can hear the echo in Ring of Honor. Oh man, nobody hears that. Nobody's watching it. The Syndicate flexes on the ramp like they just finished filming a No Limits Records commercial. But Knight grabs a mic, still breathing, barely tells him, if you want to keep those titles, you're going to have to kill us. Wrestling's most casual death threat, folks, I guess. But yeah, they run up there and they beat him up like 2 or 3 times. Getting worse every time.
I can't remember exactly what move that they did, but Shelton Benjamin, I think he might have just gave the guy a regular old slam, and he slammed the shit out of him. It looked like he was throwing around a child.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I'm not saying that Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey are bad by any means. It's just, they're way smaller. than the Hurt Syndicate. And there's situations where you can pull it off, but man, with the way they're getting their fucking ass whipped all the time, they're not putting it in a way that makes you think they're going to win.
Yeah, no, they're not going to win.
Yeah. But anyways, you don't got anything to add. Go ahead, take us to the next one.
Okay, well, we got heroes, villains, and EVP ego trips. Takashita and the Young Bucks versus Bandito, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. The match no one asked for. The results are the Bucks and Takashita win via a triple EVP trigger and Raging Fire. The sponsor of the match was Superman, who's probably embarrassed. Maybe. Well, we kick off this Justice League audition with Bandito versus Takashita, where Konosuke does his usual thing. I think I said that right.
Konosuke.
It's Takashita. Anyway, move fast, hit hard, act confused when someone counters. Bucks enter next, hot off their weekly routine of pretending they're still baby faces while wrestling like Marvel villains. They double team Bandito like they're applying for a tag team tax break. But before they can finish their ego parade, Kyle O'Reilly jumps in with dad energy and jujitsu neck violence. Everyone starts tagging everyone like it's a group project no one studied for, which leads to the first mandatory 6-man pileup because Tony Khan pays by the flip. Max ad break, just assume stuff happened. We return with Bandito getting clobbered, which is his version of cardio. Strong gets hot tagged in and tries to elbow his way into a push before Nicholas Jackson tags himself in like he's stealing Wi-Fi. Sorry, I had a brain thing there. Kyle tries a guillotine. Matt says LOL no with suplexes, and Takashita returns just a blue thunder bomb everyone's dreams away. Final chaos. Bandito hits a top rope superplex, super kicks rain from the heavens, EVP triggers fly like corporate memos, Raging Fire ends Kyle's night while Bandito and Strong are tossed like being old being the elite scripts. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't say that. The winners are the Young Bucks and Okada, and I carry this whole match. Takashita. And the post-match stuff was just when the victory lap starts, Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland arrive like a promo class gone rogue. They still want the Bucks to put their EVP titles on the line, a fake title representing a real fake power. Swerve, we don't want the real power. Will can't be trusted. We'll give the people something better. If we lose, we can't go after the AEW World title for a year. The Bucks, finally. Stakes that sound like an HR policy. Matthew agrees, but only as Swerve signs off. Swerve hesitates, like he just read the fine print on a timeshare agreement, then reluctantly says yes. Match is on. EVP title versus world title eligibility. Match wasn't terrible. Was it great? I don't know. Some of these guys I don't really need to see anymore, especially like Bandito, Sorry about your thing there, Bandito, and probably Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, basically everybody in this match I don't really need to see anymore. I don't know. What did you think of this?
Takeshita's really good. He was a highlight in this match. He can work with everybody really well. I think he's one of the best in-ring talents in the world. He just can't speak English, so he's not going to have much of a connection with the crowd. But Bandito can go. It's weird. Roderick Strong, and not Roderick Strong's okay. They just they're never going to do anything with him. Kyle O'Reilly, it's like he does these moves like guillotines and these kicks and like these mixed martial arts stuff, and it's kind of weird. Like some of the mixed martial arts stuff can work, like the submissions, but the guillotine's just like weak for wrestling, and Kyle O'Reilly doesn't really pull the MMA style off very well. He looks like Butters, He doesn't look like somebody that can really fight.
He's kind of a dork.
Yeah. But
I mean, not that I'm not. I say that as a dork myself, but yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I know the Bucks have to be on the All In show, and I'm not saying this little build between them and Will and what's his face Swerve's been bad or anything either. It's I don't know. the stipulation, like EVP titles, like what are you going to lose them forever? And then like if they lose, they can't challenge for the world title for a year. So what are they going to end up being, the tag champs? Like, I don't know. It's the stakes aren't really that high, and the Bucks, it's just hard to get anything that they do because they fucking stink. Like the match, I know I'm kind of just glossing over it, but the match was all right. It wasn't really fucking nothing to write home about. Like you said, a lot of people that you just don't fucking care about, so you can't really sink your teeth into the match very well. And then the post-match stuff was just kind of fucking stupid. It was actually the low point in the show ratings-wise. It dropped down to 523K here. And it actually rebounded and got higher at the end of the show, which almost never happens. That's
because people don't want to watch the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks historically do, like even when like Kenny was partnering with them, which Kenny usually can get the show to bump some. And anytime that they were on the show with him, they even negated him. Like they usually do lower fucking viewership. I mean, it's a proven fact. And I'm not saying that their heel work's really been that bad lately. At least they cheat and get heat, as opposed to like Monet. So they do know a little bit more about being a fucking heel than I guess some people do, but it's just, I don't know, Will and Swerve, maybe they should be doing something against each other. Maybe they will if they lose here. It's hard to tell. But either way, I'll go ahead and take us on here. And it's the Pain and Poetry and Palm Strikes with Okada versus Ibushi.
I prefer Okada, actually.
Okodi, remember what a lot of people are calling him.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, Kota Ibushi versus Okada. A lot of people were really excited about this. This kind of fits along the same vein that the Kenny versus Okada match does, where it's a match that was built in another company, NJPW. So, you kind of maybe had to be watching that to really know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not really interested
all the time.
in Ibushi. It would be weird for me to. I mean, what has he done besides have a couple matches for me that I've been interested in? I've been watching AEW for almost 6 years now, and it's to the point now where this guy's been there for some years, and he's barely done anything. Maybe he has visa issues. I don't know, but it's just not anything that I could really get into. And Okada moves fucking like a slug these days. He ends up winning by Rainmaker Lariat, by the way, now with 20% more drama. His running theme is "This is art," but also somebody might die. Before the bell even rings, the crowd drops a "holy shit" chant. And it's funny, a lot of these people act all hyped up and like they're in the know, but it's like, a lot of these motherfuckers weren't watching that shit when it happened, and they probably haven't even now. They just want to feel like they fit in and they're part of this hardcore wrestling fan base, when in reality, like, just like what you like and don't pretend to fucking like shit that's just the most hardcore people tell you that you need to be checking out. It's, I don't know, and it's okay if you're into this shit and you were watching. There's nothing wrong with that. I know for a fucking fact that most of these people that are even watching AEW, I feel like only because I know the amount of people that were watching NJPW. It was like 50,000 fucking people, like maybe even less in the U.S. that were watching that shit or ordering those pay-per-views, unless a lot of it was through pirating. But there's not a lot of exposure, and nobody was watching that shit. But anyways, first 3 minutes, Okada exit the ring like he forgot his parking validation. Kota throws kicks so fast that they might be CGI. Oh, wow. I think that's a pretty big exaggeration. Rev plays babysitter as they do the who can look cooler on the ropes game. Then Lance Archer, who's apparently the anger librarian of AEW commentary now, starts yelling, and we're off to the races. There's an ad break on Max, assuming kicking, heavy breathing, possibly attempted murder, and then we come back from the attempted murder that could have happened. We don't know what happened, to a commercial mayhem with Ibushi returning from the void with drop kicks and dead eyes, Okada countering with his patented "I'm calm but also furious" offense, and locks in Kravitz. What the fuck is that? What's that?
It's a move.
Oh, like Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah, he asked him if he was going to go his way.
Oh, shit. Like he's been watching 2004 ROH tapes again. The match.
It's like a neck lock type of thing. I'm trying to.
but the match escalates like a Fast and Furious script. Okada does some drop kicks, Ibushi does some knee strikes, the crowd chants, the ref's just trying to survive in there. The faces he was making, and Ibushi nearly kills Okada with an avalanche tiger driver, and you think that would be it, but no. Okada kicks out like a man whose contracts includes mandatory no-star classics, and finishes. The finishing sequence here is an Okada lariat blocked, Ibushi Roadhouse, it connects, Okada German suplex nailed, Rainmaker blocked again, Ibushi goes for more flippy do death and gets caught. Then a drop kick, lariat, Rainmaker, 1, 2, 3. And Okada wins, aka AEW's resident anime protagonist with emotional baggage and the best dropkick in North America. I don't know about that either. But post-match shenanigans, Don Callis rolls in to gloat like a sleazy Bond villain. And Rocky Romero and Lance Archer jump in for the beatdown coda for fun bonus level. But then the pop hits, Kenny Omega comes in, chair, hand, full sprint. Omega storms the ring like an algorithm told him Ibushi was trending, chasing off the family like an angry gamer with lag. Trent Beretta tries to sneak in with the steel pipe. Yeah, I guess that's his thing now, because, of course he does. But Ibushi stops him with that I survived G1 energy. And then the Golden Lovers hug. Wow. The crowd melts and the internet breaks and Callis screams. I don't know about that either. Dynamite 300 fades to black as wrestling's most beautiful bromance stands tall. Yeah, count me out of that. Kenny's good. I like him, but just a whole bunch of stuff that's not for me. And I understand it does have its fans, but overall, just not a lot going on there.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. It didn't offend me or anything. It wasn't the...
Well, I'm mainly talking about the ending, too. Like, I don't give a fuck about those guys hugging or them as a team.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be fan service, and we're not necessarily fans of those guys, I guess. Well, yeah.
I like Kenny, He's partnering with other people way more during his AEW run, though. So that's the kind of stuff that I'd be interested
better people.
In. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, this just isn't something that... for the show that we're watching has really been a historical thing that, it's, I'll do the DBZ thing again. Goku's there and he reunites, like, let's just say, you remember when he met Pycon?
Yeah.
In that Afterworld tournament?
Yes.
Let's just say he reunited with Pycon, like he got resurrected, and then right at the beginning when Fat Boo comes out, Pycon jumps out too. Like, you'd be like, oh, there he is. But if it happened like way later in like Dragon Ball Super, then you'd be like, oh man, that guy was fucking back in the day. You know what I'm saying? There's just not a lot of historical relevance there. At least for us, the people that have mainly just been watching AEW. Got anything to add there? I know you added a little bit.
I mean, that's really it. Don't need to see it. Okay with it. Hopefully they do something good with Kenny Omega, and we can move on.
Well, overall though, it was a decent Dynamite. The beginning was great.
The Hangman stuff was good, and people that have been listening to us know that historically we're usually shitting on the stuff that he does. It might have been the highlight of the show.
The MJF stuff was good. I really like him and Mark Briscoe. I'm looking forward to their thing next week, their little talkie.
I didn't like the way Tony was presented. Whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of goofy. It's really going to be a shame if they have her lose. They need to be building her up like the best woman in wrestling. Not some WWE. I know they're both from WWE, but Tony wasn't there nearly as long. But,
yeah.
But that's all I got to say about that. And I think, that being said, that may or may not wrap up our... where's it? I know it's...
The OverMark Entertainment Dynamite Review.
Right?
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I think that's going to jump us right into some... our news segment here. And coincidentally, since we start our news, that always takes us in to
an OverMark Entertainment exclusive.
Take it away, Dave.
Wow. Thanks for that, TJ. That was a great intro. Good. We got some good news here. Not all of our news is good or entertaining, and I don't know that this news is necessarily entertaining, but it's definitely good. We got Jeff Hardy announcing he's 3 years clean and climbing. That's pretty good. He's celebrating 3 years of sobriety. He talked about it on the Ariel Helwani show. What a guy. And Jeff Hardy has officially hit 3 years sober, revealing the milestone in a rare, candid interview with Ariel. 3 years and 2 days, he said, calm and confident. Let that sink in. After a career full of extreme highs and heartbreaking lows, Hardy's been through it. Multiple wellness violations, public struggles with substance abuse, his 2022 DUI arrest while signed with AEW, which led to jail time and rehab. Yeah, that sucked. That really derailed what they were going to be doing there with him. But anyway, it's probably better he didn't get a guy jumping on his head. But now, the charismatic Enigma is clean, focused, and back in the thick of it. Set to challenge for the TNA Tag Team titles alongside his brother Matt at Slammiversary in a 4-way ladder match. Because if Jeff Hardy's going to celebrate sobriety, it might as well involve tables, ladders, and legacy. This is really cool. I'm happy for him. We all know that his issues have been documented. It's cool to see somebody be able to successfully, kick the demons and all that jazz. What do you think of this, TJ?
Well, the exact date of his last DUI was June 13th, 2022, so I guess he's claiming that after that he got clean and all that. I only read some of the highlights from this, so I didn't watch it. But, that's cool. Jeff Hardy's the man. Where do they live? Cameroon?
Isn't that in, Africa or something?
No, Cameron, North Carolina. Cameroon, it is in Africa. But, yeah, I think he lives probably about an hour and a half away from me. Maybe, to the west. Or no. I think it's east. I don't fucking know. I'm bad with that kind of stuff. Either way, that's not important. The kind of thing I was going to say is it's just kind of nuts to think that, he was getting pulled over with all these multiple DUIs, not too far up the road from where I live, Yeah.
But I think it was in Florida.
It's happened here before. I'm not talking about this one specifically, but he's had some in North Carolina is what I'm saying. But anyways, I was talking to my wife about this the other day. She was asking me stuff about Jeff Hardy, and she was like, man, I saw that interview, and, it was kind of talking about how he messed up their push, and they were going to get the titles in AEW and have one last big run over there in a major company with tag titles. It's like, yeah, shit happened. But he looks great now, and where I was going to go there is I don't think a lot of people realize how big of a star he was in WWE. Excuse me.
He was literally a bigger star than Cena when Cena was becoming the guy and being the guy.
That match, that ladder match he had with Undertaker. Excuse me. Let me mute and cough. Okay, there we go. So that ladder match he had with Undertaker, where Taker held his arm up afterwards, and that was his big solidifying moment. And after that, I forget the exact date, but he was the biggest guy in wrestling for a little bit. And if he didn't fuck up and all that, and he would have maybe been maybe everything would have been reversed, and it wouldn't be Cena that we're seeing doing this retirement tour now. Maybe it would be Jeff. He did end up going over to TNA for the easier schedule and the pretty good pay and all that, but I just think it's important that people realize, this guy dedicated his life to wrestling, still has. It'll always be a part of his life. Him and his brothers have great minds for the business. They're extremely hard workers. And, even though he's had his demons, he's fucked up, the TNA thing that he did with Sting, they're dark spots, but, everybody fucks up, and it's cool when you see, there's nothing more that I love than a comeback, and, this isn't a huge comeback by any means. DUI is not the end of the world. It is terrible, and you don't want to do it, but it's just good seeing somebody that you were a fan of growing up doing better, and just seeing him healthy is a great thing. And I
Yep.
know a lot of people that have suffered from substance abuse, and it's a tough thing to control and get a hold of. And when you have a lot of money and you have all these people around you that are trying to use you and tell you the things that you want to hear so they can get fucked up with you, it's got to be tough to say no to. And I don't think people realize like how much willpower it takes when you have unlimited resources to some extent to do these drugs and to stay high or drunk. And it's good for him. And I won't rant on about it too much more, but way to go, Jeff. That's some good shit.
Oh yeah.
And that'll take us out of that one. And I think we're going to jump right into another,
An OverMark Entertainment exclusive.
which would be AJ Styles. And he's reportedly signed a 1-year contract extension with WWE. Usually they don't do the 1-year stuff, but there's different ownership there now. So not business as usual, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's we talked about this before. He's like 47 or 48, so I mean, he's getting up there. So he'll probably finish this deal. Well, I think that makes him have like 2 years left on his deal now instead of 1.
Well, this is smart because he can come out, do his thing in WWE, and then go over to AEW after a year and make way more money over there.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do.
Have a 3 to 5 year run there.
Yeah, and everybody will love him, and then he'll be able to retire there. And you can say one positive thing about AEW is they do the retirements right. Sting's like one of the greatest retirements in wrestling history.
He'll have a fairly decorated career at that point because he'll have wrestled for WCW, WWE, TNA, and AEW, and will have held titles in TNA, WWE, and I assume they would put the World Championship on him in AEW. Why wouldn't you? It'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, I agree. And
I mean, like
AJ
when
can
you
work
think
with
of
anybody.
TNA, yeah, when you think of TNA, I mean, like you think of AJ Styles. Even still,
Yeah.
and at this point, he's been with WWE longer than what he was with TNA. But it's still like he used to say in his promos back in the day after he had been with TNA for a few years, the house that AJ Styles built. And I mean, that's not just a funny, cheeky wrestling. That's a shoot.
Yeah, AJ's the man.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's getting paid good. They got the money, and they're keeping him around because they appreciate working with him. And I'm sure on his way out, he's gonna put somebody over pretty good. We'll see who that's gonna be. And it's WrestleMania season, and it'll be interesting to see who they put him against. And AJ Styles, real quick, he's got a really cool retro video game collection. He's real into gaming and all that shit. So he's kind of like real similar to us, and is an overall good guy. He's a good dad too.
Yeah.
Seems like he pretty solid person. Like what we were talking about, Jeff, with the DUI stuff and how everybody fucks up and all that. Doesn't seem like this is a guy that does any of that. He's like clean as fuck.
Yeah, you never really hear anything negative about AJ.
That's right. And we'll move on from this, and we got another.
An OverMark Entertainment exclusive.
Oh boy.
You want to take us
We
into
got,
that, Dave?
Yeah. So for this particular news segment here, we have Matt Hardy believes CM Punk vetoed his AEW TV spot. This was on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast. That's our source here, and this is an allegation, but it's not confirmed. It's definitely a little spicy. Matt Hardy just dropped the bombshell from his AEW days, and surprise, it involves CM Punk, creative power plays, and travel chaos. I don't know how much I believe this or not, but we'll play along. Hardy claims he was personally told by Tony Khan to appear on AEW Collision to be in Ethan Page's corner for a match against MJF. He changed flights, made arrangements, got ready to work, and then just heard you're not needed tomorrow. AEW travel department 3 hours later. Matt smells something funny, and it isn't Jeff's face paint. I don't have this on authority, but someone blocked it. Who else could it be? Punk ran that show. Matt Hardy possibly looking directly into the camera. I don't know that I believe that Punk would do something like that. He's got no reason to pull a power play on somebody like Matt Hardy. I think that that's just some paranoid thing, or maybe a thing that Matt said on his show because he knows it's going to generate clicks because he said CM Punk and said something negative. I don't necessarily buy that. What do you think of this, TJ?
Yeah, Matt's always like spewing random bullshit. I don't believe in anything he says, and why would Punk's not even thinking about anything that Matt Hardy does.
Oh.
And
it's like what? Because they both banged Lita like 2 decades ago. Who cares?
Yeah, Punk doesn't care about that. He's busy making money, coming up with good ideas, helping other people out in the back, having people fuck with him the whole time he's there. I think
right. He's not worried about Matt Hardy. He's worried about the other idiots backstage that are giving him shit.
What's Matt Hardy gonna do to him? And he's Matt Hardy's the Bucks' buddy. So it would make sense that he would. Matt Hardy is the Bucks' buddy. He's really good friends with him.
I thought you said something else.
Oh, but either way, they're
some kind of buddy.
Yeah, they're good friends. They could be. They're good friends.
Oh, those kind?
Yeah, and they're always. He's always talking. Remember, he was like at one point saying, "Oh, the Bucks don't need to get their flowers." It's. I don't know. Matt Hardy's a bullshitter. We can go ahead and move on from that one there.
Well, that has been the news.
Yeah, it has.
And
and I think that'll take us on to our next. Actually, no, it won't. Not that at all.
Well, that's okay. Breaking news. The next segment is Push or Pass. It's back.
Yeah, and
we're back.
OverMark Entertainment exclusive.
That's right. And if you didn't know, now you know, and you better tell somebody.
Well, I'll tell them.
So I'll take this one, and then you can take the lead on the next one. Does that sound okay? That works. So all right, it's time for another rousing segment of Push or Pass, where we pick one wrestler getting a spotlight or major push, and we decide, are we in, or is this a waste of TV time? This episode's feature is TJ's favorite guy, the Burger King, Brody King. And this isn't necessarily that we think that this guy is getting a super hard push or anything, but he is getting a lot of TV time, which qualifies as getting a spotlight. We're seeing too much of this guy. I don't particularly care for him. Politics stuff aside, I don't care about what his opinions are on that one way or the other. I'm not crazy about this guy. He's just not for me. Maybe I have aged out of his audience or something. I don't know. I don't see the appeal. So it's gonna be a pass for me on this guy. What about you, TJ? What do you think of Mr. King?
So Burger, he's been a part of what was the group?
The House of Black.
The House of Black. And
that was awesome.
Yeah, he was like the muscle of that group. And House of Black wasn't too bad. And he was okay as a part of that group. At least they didn't use the House of Black too well. And there was big periods of inactivity. But then, Malachi Black, a.k.a. Aleister Black, wanted to leave. So then they kept him and Buddy King together for some reason, which I don't feel like they should have did that. Burger King has potential, but, you need to highlight him as a singles monster. There's been a couple times where he's had the mic, and it seems like he can talk kind of okay-ish, but historically they've never really had plans for the guy, so it's kind of hard to get excited about like anything that they do with him. And all the matches that he's a part of aren't a part of a story or a build. They're just to feature him to like a match on Collision or a match on Dynamite, to have somebody that got popular recently because of that whole Abolish ICE thing. And he did end up donating the money from the proceeds of that shirt to some
almost $30K.
Yeah, so I mean, good for him, regardless of what you think. I guess at least he's trying to help whatever the cause may be exactly. But overall, his in-ring work's not too great, and they're just never really going to do anything with him. So why should I really care? It's just having a match for match's sake, and he's really not that great. It would be very easy to hide this guy's weaknesses and highlight his strengths and have a dominant monster out there and a guy that you could have like put the mid-card title on and build and put people over with, but they don't use big guys very well in AEW for some reason, and he's no exception. So I guess, and to some extent, it's not his fault entirely. Like I said, I do recognize that there's some potential there, but I'm going to have to pass just because of mainly how they've used him on the show and how it's almost a guarantee that they're not really going to do anything with him. I guess it's a pass for both of us. You got that buzzer. That's what I'll hit it with. And I guess that being said, that'll wrap up our push or pass there.
And just one more for good measure.
Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and move on here. We got our next segment,
an OverMark Entertainment exclusive,
which is going to be another forbidden gimmick. I think we had one on our last episode, which is Val Venus. And this week, we thought we'd kind of keep it with like a similar topic. You know, we had the porn star guy last week, so this week we got the pimp wrestler. So, welcome back to the Forbidden Gimmick, the segment where we look at gimmicks that probably shouldn't have existed and ask the question, could it fly today? Spoiler, not unless HR is asleep and the SEC's on vacation.
Today's entry, the man, the myth, the manager of the world's sleaziest enterprise, the Godfather. WWE looked at the Attitude Era and said, what's missing? The answer, a full-blown pimp. And they went with it. Hard.
This guy came to the ring wearing purple velvet, sunglasses at night, and a feather in his hat like he just stepped off a Grand Theft Auto loading screen. And oh yeah, he was flanked by a rotating cast of women known only as the Ho Train. Because why not, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's be clear. This man was pimping as a face. He was a good guy. He'd offer his opponents a night off with the ladies instead of a match. And sometimes they accepted. This man won matches by bribing people with sex work in front of kids.
Yeah, and the crowd, they loved it. They cheered the Ho Train like it was Stone Cold's music. Signs in the crowd said, "Pimpin' ain't easy." This was primetime television.
He even won the Intercontinental title as a literal pimp. That's how wild the Attitude Era was. You could be a flesh peddler and still qualify for gold. Amazing.
Eventually, the gimmick got dialed back. I wonder why. Maybe the fact that they were yelling "Pimpin' ain't easy" on Monday nights finally caught up with them.
To WWE's credit, they did bring him back later. They toned down the party guy with some dancers, which is basically like saying Scarface is now a pharmacist.
So could the Godfather work today? Nah, absolutely not. TKO's HR would nuke this character from orbit.
Yeah, but in 1999, Pimpin' got pops. Go figure.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, we'll say a couple little things, but I remember him as a kid, and, I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I kind of knew what hoes were, and I watched South Park, so I had an idea what a pimp was. But, he was saying stuff like, roll up a fatty for this pimp daddy, and let me hear you say, pimpin' ain't easy. So he was also, advocating drugs.
Hell yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was something else.
Everybody knows the Godfather be pimping hoes nationwide.
You remember?
Hell yeah.
He offered, what is it? That whole Elton John thing. What? Remember who did he offer the hose to? William Regal.
William Regal, and he's like, I may be an Englishman, but I'm not Elton John. I'll take the hose.
Yeah. Remember he offered Taker the hose too, and I think he took him too, right?
No, he got mad and attacked him.
Oh, okay.
He was trying to make him break.
Yeah, well,
they were always trying to make him break.
Yeah, but I mean, he in the Attitude Era, he's a legendary character. He definitely wouldn't work today, and I thought he was fucking entertaining. What was that move that he did where it's like, and hit him in the corner?
Pretty sure that was called the Ho Train.
That was actually he made that look good. He was a big motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
He was actually a legit tough guy. He didn't win the Brawl for All, but any of those guys that were a part of it were known as tough guys in the back, and he was huge. He can mess somebody up. But
yeah, I mean he he held his own against who was that? Was it Dan Severn?
I'm not sure.
Dan Severn won, but
Dan Severn's
ended up bowing out because he didn't want to participate in it. So then Godfather moved on to the next round.
Yeah, Dan Severn's the man. But
Dan the Beast.
You might hear my dogs a little bit. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. This has been The Forbidden Gimmick. Like, comment, and subscribe for more OverMark content where we celebrate the worst ideas that somehow worked. And
I wouldn't say that The Godfather was the worst idea. Shout out to The Godfather, by the way. Hopefully he hears this. He ain't gonna, but
I think he's looking pretty good these days from what I saw last. It's been a little while, but
yeah, he had a car accident recently. We didn't cover it. It was probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. He had a pretty severe accident where his vehicle rolled over a bunch of times. I mean, it was definitely totaled, and he was completely fine. He posted a picture about it on Instagram and talked about it, that he was everything was all good and everybody was fine, and he was putting the truck over for keeping him and his family safe and everybody being A-okay. So I think it might have been a Dodge or something. I don't know.
My dad hates Dodges, man. He says they're junk. But,
is that true?
Yeah, he's a Chevy guy. Let me tell you a secret.
Wow.
They're all fucking trucks, and they all got strengths and weaknesses. Who gives a shit?
I just opened our the Instagram here because I was trying to look up the Godfather thing, and there's a whole lot of the wrestling gals on here celebrating 4th of July. Oof.
Yeah, they do that every year, but that'll wrap up all our
an OverMark Entertainment exclusive
segments there, and I guess that'll be us signing off. I don't know.
I mean,
that went a little bit weird, but so we're going to be signing off. To be clear,
if I keep looking at these pictures here on Instagram that Megan Bain posted, I might be wrapping off. I don't know.
She looks way better in normal clothes as compared to her wrestling outfit.
Yeah. The
Joey
stuff that
Janela.
Mandy Sachs posted here too. Jeez.
Yeah, Joey Janela. Him and the missing teeth. He gets around with a lot of those wrestling chicks. The blondes, he's got a type.
Yeah. And good for him. Good for her.
Yeah,
hopefully it works out for the nice young couple.
Yeah. But that being said, we're going to have that next episode, SmackDown Collision. SmackDown's taped. It'll be shown later today. We're recording this on the 4th, by the way. So SmackDown's a couple hours away. So we'll be talking to you then. And shout out to them social medias, at OverMark ENT. If you want to listen to this on Spotify, for example, it's there. We put them up every week. That way, maybe it'll be a little bit more convenient for you. But that being said, like always, I appreciate you, Dave. Appreciate you guys for listening. If you liked or subscribed, done anything like that, we really appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off myself. Thanks for listening, guys, and say goodbye, Dave.
I appreciate the shit out of you, TJ. We'll see you guys next week, or not next week, and in a day or two. My God, we'll be right back. Everybody have a nice weekend. Happy 4th of July.